I'm here to talk to you today about deceptive communication. What is deceptive communication? I believe the best way to describe deceptive communication would be through the deliberate attempt, whether successful or not, to conceal, fabricate, manipulate, or any other means, factual and or emotional information by a verbal or a nonverbal means, in order to create a sense that the information provided is true. Deceptive communication can be done both consciously and subconsciously. What types of communication can be considered deceptive? You have verbal deceptive communication, nonverbal deceptive communication, and of course, written deceptive communication. In the interpersonal deception theory, or IDT for short, it's a propositional theory that explicitly considers temporal and process factors in deception. It assumes that interpersonal deception is both dynamic and adaptive. What characteristics do professionals look for when investigating deceptive communication? They look for verbal and or physical communication changes. In verbal communication, speech errors such as or a vocal pitch increase, or an inconsistency in your information would lead them to believe that what you're providing to them is false. There are different types of verbal deceptive communication, such as lies through falsification, an outright lie, telling someone that you're looking forward to going to their Christmas pageant when in fact you're dreading it. There's also lies through exaggeration. In order to impress a girl at a bar, for instance, you might tell her that your position within a company is more important than in fact it might really be. We've all been there. You also have lies through omission, where someone might ask you something and it's not necessarily that you're outright lying, you're just leaving out the information that would indict you. And finally, you have lies through equivocation, where in lies through equivocation, you are not lying, but you're attempting to answer the question without really answering the question, giving a runaround, something that a lot of politicians are accused of doing on a daily basis. In nonverbal communication, you look for arousal, nervousness, eye twitching, or even hand movement, twitchy fingers, for instance. A suspect in a police interrogation might have his head in his hands, he might be wringing his hands, have darting eyes. These are all factors that the police look for when determining whether a suspect could be telling the truth or not. A polygraph test, for instance, assesses your heart rate, your breathing rate, and your skin perspiration while responding to questions. Eye dilation and excessive blinking may also be signs that you're not being completely truthful. In written communication, you a lot of times use lies through falsification, such as if you were to apply for a job and state that you have no felony convictions when in fact you might have a felony conviction. This is one of the most obvious and widely used types of written deception. You also have false advertising done by companies on a daily basis. For instance, when a company says that this product contains 20% more than the leading competitor, when in fact they really may have close to the same amount of product. As we've shown here today, there are many different forms of deceptive communication, ranging from verbal, nonverbal, and even written deceptive communication. Some of these are lying by omission, lying by exaggeration, being deceptive through equivocation, or being outright deceptive through falsification of information. When examining for deceptive communication, people can look for different body languages that provide a clue as to being deceptive. Hopefully, you've learned something here today, and in the future, I believe that you may be looking at friends, family, or even neighbors in a more detailed way in order to determine when someone's being a bit deceptive towards you. There is a bit of a truth bias in all of us, and that we all want to believe that people around us are telling the truth, but that's not always the case, unfortunately. Because it is that way, we do use clues for deceptive communication to let us determine what may or may not really be true.